Hello, this is Inside News with Dale Matthews and Mike Jones. I'm the Dale Matthews side, and
And I'm the Mike Jones side. Merry
he's
Christmas.
by a roaring fire.
Mm-hmm.
There is, according to the county commissioners, a roaring fire going on in Josephine County. In fact, it's an emergency situation. We're at a situation right now with law enforcement where every day is a continuation of the emergency. It's odd because they're not acting like it's an emergency, but they've told us that it is and that we need to get prepared because things are just not working out right. Okay.
We'll get back to that probably mid-January. That's when the emergency reactionaries will be out in force.
The emergency reaction force will jump forward, probably called cuffs or SOS or county commissioners stealthily, and they will remind us that, oh, we've always been in an emergency. Didn't you know this? Okay. So, the last couple of nights we've been taking a look at what it is that the county commissioners say when they get together with the city council, Grants Pass City Council. And some of the admonitions that have come down from Simon Hare, an authority about ethics and our financial situation, and ditto for Cheryl Walker. And meanwhile, Keith Heck is mostly sort of taking a long, well-deserved nap. So what we've done here is we thought, well, they've said people just don't understand what our financial situation is. And where are your solutions? Where are your solutions? Well, we're not paid to come up with the solutions, but we've done it anyway. So what we're going to do is we're going to ask you to just go over just briefly with this a couple of the numbers that were mentioned by the county commissioners during the last couple of nights. And we'd like you to write them down or make a mental note or something. There's some of them, and just write these down, jot them down, make a mental note, and then we're going to go over the numbers ourselves, right, Mike?
Okay.
Yes, this sounds interesting. I hope so. And fun. Oh, it's going to be lots of fun.
Hated math class.
No, this is going to be easy. You're going to see this is going to be easy. Okay, so let's start. Let's let Darren Fowler kick it off. What does he really want out of this whole deal? Darren Fowler, what do you want, Mr. Mayor?
This is a subject I wanted to talk about after our recent question of the voters on the sales tax. What is the future county delivery of service level? We've tried a few things to help us limp to the point where we're at now, and kind of wanted to get your ideas and this council's ideas for what you think the next 18 months or 2 years looks like as far as realities and possibilities and any initiatives or leadership that the commissioners are going to take on this subject.
Okay, so you've seen here, we're going to show you bits and pieces. Okay, this isn't going to be one long, continuous, happy narrative. We're just going to show you pieces so that you can write down the numbers for yourselves or be thinking about the numbers, okay? So it comes from a number of different places. I'm not always going to dip to black when I do an edit. I try to do that so that it comes from two different places. And it's a little different order than we first showed it to you, but you'll catch on. And this is about getting the numbers in our heads. Go ahead, Mike. What's the first answer?
The first answer?
Yeah, from Simon Hare. Sorry.
Oh, okay.
We've really tried to live within the revenue streams that we've been provided through secure rural schools, but the lay of the land is what I'm going to be able to provide, because I can't necessarily give you specifics on some of the things that we are pursuing as a county.
Yeah, what are they pursuing as a county that we cannot be privy to somehow?
You can't even tell the city council. I can't give you specifics.
Yes.
Some of the things you're pursuing, what is this going to come as a surprise to us that you're pursuing? It is kind of a surprise they're pursuing anything, but what is it, top secret?
Apparently.
So I can't tell you. Don't ask, because I can't really kind of tell you what we're doing. Yeah, we already know the answer to that, Simon. You're pursuing one thing and one thing only. What Cheryl has as a variation on it. Look, I'm pursuing 4 little things. They're all exactly the same. Go ahead.
It all started probably with a high point in 2011, 10, 11, the 2 year, 9 to 11, we were providing the highest possible level of a public safety service we've ever funded. We're at $8.5 million right now, still providing as much service as actually possible.
Okay. It's an important number. It's the one we're going to start with. Simon Harris. Now, I don't know if any of these are right. Mike and I don't know if any of this, if it's all just made up or if it's all right. We're going only by their numbers. You've seen us do this kind of thing before.
Okay, so 8.5 million.
They say, Simon says, we need 8.5 million. Okay, so we're going to start, we're going to take him at his word. No, we're not. But I mean, we're going to use their numbers and we're going to figure out where would we be at the end of 5 years from now with that number. That's our starting point, 8.5. That's what we need. Go ahead, Mike.
But the lay of the land is that we have enough funding to remain at this status level for the entire rest of this fiscal year, which ends in June, and then the next fiscal year starts in July. We can maintain a fairly close level of service. Thank you very much for your contract with the county for the jail services for that remaining, that next fiscal year. So 16, 17, culminating in June.
Okay, so sorry about the choppy way that cut off. That's the way he talks.
So 16, 17, which starts in June of this year. So then it would culminate there in the middle of 2017.
Yeah. So when I first started laying out a table to analyze this for the next 5 years, I did the 16, 17 bit. You know, that can be a little confusing. So we're going to boil it down. I know it's not 100% correct. Don't send us letters. Well, as you must always say, stop it. We're simply going to refer to each of them by a year, not 2 years. We know it's a fiscal year. We got that. Okay. So we're going to transition with that. And so that it makes it a little simpler to say these things. But yes, that's quite right. It goes from June to June, June to June, or July to July, if you insist. Yeah. So yes. So we're halfway through right now while we're making this show. We're halfway through this fiscal year. We're not at the end. We're at the end of a calendar year. Okay. That's pretty obvious. So, we're going to lay it out that way. We're going to look at the next 5 years. We're going to do a 5-year projection. Is anybody doing a 5-year projection? No. All they can say is emergency, emergency, emergency. It's still an emergency. But you just heard him say that we're funded to the commissioner's satisfaction during an emergency. It's still an emergency. We're funded a certain amount for this fiscal year and next fiscal year, which is the reason that we've pointed out several times why there's no action. There's no action in Washington, D.C. No, there's no action because they set us up for 2 years with the money that they owe us anyway. We're not begging for it.
So the earliest that we would see said action, were it to occur, would be probably, April, May of 2017 that's how it manifested this year. I mean, it was right up until the last minute and then kaboom.
Right.
That's how they do business.
That's because it's the May primary, and they realized during that May primary that less people are probably going to vote. And so they that we've heard them talk about this. We're not making this up. They've said, yes, this is our strategy. Okay. And so that's one of the reasons why at this time, at the end of 2015, why Cheryl Walker is hot for the idea of placing her four small get your foot in the door levies on the ballot because she wants that to be tied with her candidacy to be a county commissioner. Mm-hmm. Now, looking back at this, you know how well or badly she did. So, but that is part of the strategy at this moment. And both Keith and Simon have chimed in saying, no, a strategy would be, they were having a strategy session about the levy, would be to put it on in November. Okay, so these are the numbers you need to know. We're okay in an emergency an emergency okay for until not halfway through 2016, but halfway through 2017. Okay. Okay. Go ahead, Mike.
Our funding shortfall will probably be close to $5 million.
It's a very short clip, but he says our funding shortfall out of 8.5 million will be 5. The reason he says about 5 is that there's a certain amount that has to go to the jail.
Mm-hmm.
And that makes up the rest of the 8.5. 5 plus 8.5 for our funding shortfall, because the money, as they've explained it many times in the past, is this true? We don't know. But they've said that when the money comes in from Secure Rural Schools, SRS, sorry we're going so slow, but I mean, this involves numbers, and
this is not complicated. Keep on going.
Okay, and it's not everybody's thing. And they say that every dime of SRS money goes to public safety. So that's 5 shortfall. Okay, go, Mike.
Our property tax assessment in Josephine County is about $4 million. It takes $4.2 million just to operate the jail at half capacity. That's not even evidence or investigation or patrols or anything. That's just jail, period.
Okay. So
all right. So
4.2.
It's 4.2, and we'll say about 4. Okay, because it's really not about 5; it's about 4. Okay, right. So our jail costs are 4, and you know that at least for right now, while we're making this show, that the city is kicking in some money for a share of that. Yes,
$1 million.
Right. We don't know if they're going to continue.
Right. Oh, listen. Not only is it going to continue, that assessment on your sewer and water probably will increase because they didn't get their sales tax.
Right. So So there's some money going out the door and some money coming in the door. Okay, so we're going to look at all the numbers. Go ahead, Mike.
Right now we have PILT, payment in lieu of taxes, which generated for us about $500,000 to $600,000 last year. It's 584, if I remember correctly. That is not going to solve the problem.
Well, $500,000 goes away to solving the problem. Okay. $1 million here, $1 million there. Pretty soon it ends up being real money.
Sure.
Everett Dirksen, I believe, said that. So look, here's the point, I think. Here's the point. We've heard of PILT. Those of us who follow politics, you're watching the show, I think you probably do. We've heard of PILT many times, right? But it's kind of interesting to me that though we've heard of that many times, a similar amount was available for throwing away on a water project that they decided not to do, testing the water.
Right.
Really, it's amazing to me that this money that is keeping us afloat is equal to this amount that we could just easily take from the general fund and throw it out the window.
Yeah. No, it's an amazing contradiction between the emergency. Oh my God, we're about to fall off the cliff. Everybody, make sure you have emergency supplies and 3 days worth of water and food. And no, this is not what's happening here.
We're about to fall off the cliff into a river filled with arsenic. So
yes.
Hold your breath.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, because that'll help you.
Right. Okay. I think we've got one more of numbers. I think that we do, don't we?
I don't know. Let's find out.
Let's find out.
We send up 11, just under $12 million to the state and local lottery generated here, and we bring back about $350,000 a year, and that's not how I think we would have liked to have seen it done.
What? Wow, I would be very interested to know if that's true. If that's true, and the statistic that generally lower income people play the lottery more than anyone else, then clearly we are not taxing people of lower incomes enough.
Yes. Well, desperation, quick money. I don't know all the psychology behind it. I don't know if this is true. We're using their numbers. That's all that we can do. That's what we're going to do in the show. We're just going to use their numbers and then beat them over the head with it. Okay.
Okay.
So let's just take a look at that, and we'll go straight in from one thing to another, and we'll analyze this situation. Keep in mind that maybe at some point in the future we can get more lottery money back, and what they're talking about would actually solve a lot of things. But at the moment,
right now between Pilt and that, we're getting $850,000 a year.
There you go.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. That goes some way to solving this $8.5 million conundrum. Right?
Absolutely, it does. And I wonder how much of it goes to that now.
Well, let us take a look at now. Right now, the money that comes back from the lottery is spent on economic development, and Cheryl Walker's in charge of that. And its current incarnation means they give their money away to friends.
Right.
They give their money away to political allies.
Yes.
It doesn't mean that everybody that gets the money is a friend of theirs, but they do pick winners and losers in our community, down to individual companies that are starting individual little shops instead of to everybody.
What do you bet that it would be impossible with this particular board for me to duplicate what Rogue Roasters got? There would be no way on God's green earth I would get 50 grand from them for nothing.
No, there wouldn't be any way. And so, oh no, they're handing it over to somebody else. The people they're handing it over to hand it out, they're friends of theirs. Okay. And those people are the same ones that told us that we'd get 90 full-time family wage jobs out of putting a plaque on a rock.
Mm-hmm.
So that tells you where that stands. So let's analyze the numbers. We'll try to make it interesting. Let's go, Mike.
Okay.